Welcome back. My name is Jay Oza. I teach, mentor, and coach people on public speaking so that they can give winning high stakes speeches, whether it's for a job interview, a business meeting, or even a conference. Today, I want to give you a job interview tip. And this is a tip that I picked up, believe it or not, from the O.J. Simpson trial. Believe it or not. I read this book. This is an excellent book by Jeffrey Toobin. The Run of His Life: The People versus O.J. Simpson. Now, this book was written in the 90s. Let me see, 1996. And recently, this was turned into a miniseries that won wide acclaim in 2016, I believe it was. And the one part of the book that I feel is something that when it first happened, I didn't really give much thought to. But when I saw it and I read it after seeing it, the miniseries, it immediately, you know, gave me an idea that I never even thought about that applies to job interviews. And it comes kind of at the end of the miniseries, right after they listen to the testimony, and then when the jury is have to deliberate. The first thing that they do is they do a secret vote. And in that secret vote, 10 people voted for acquittal and 2 for conviction. And then they deliberated at most, according to this book, for 2 additional hours, and they reached a verdict of not guilty. Now you might say, well, Jay, come on. What does an O.J. Simpson trial have to do anything with a job interview? I believe a lot. And it has to do with the way somebody is thinking in the beginning. It's very hard to change that. Now, these people in the O.J. jury had listened to this testimony for months. I think it was many months. And 10 people already had decided in a secret vote right from the get-go that he was not guilty. And 2 eventually relented and also voted for not guilty with additional 2 hours of deliberation. Folks, people had invested a lot of time in that trial. But when it comes to a job interview, a decision whether to hire you or not hire you is made very quickly. That means the first question you should ask, and you can figure out the language you want to use, based on my background and my profile, are you likely to hire a person with my background and my profile or not hire? That is a fundamental question you have to ask right in the beginning. And if the person says hire, you have to say why. If the person says not hire, you have to say why. Then you know you've got work to do to change that. And the likelihood is it's not going to happen because they've already made up the mind. Now you might say, well, Jay, don't I have to go through the process? Don't go through their process. You've got to have your process. See, this is the biggest mistakes that many viewers make. They think that they have to live up to somebody else's process. If that's what they want, then obviously you're not going to get the job, and you're going to get strung along. But you want to know right away, where are they? What are they thinking right in the beginning? Hire or not hire? Hire or not hire? If they say, well, we need to know more before we can even make that decision, and you say, listen, I'm not asking you to give me a job offer. I'm just trying to find out where you are at this point. Because if they're not at this point, then they're wasting their time. You've got to flesh that out in any situation. Hire or not hire. Hire or not hire. Now, I suggest this to people. They rarely ever do it because they're scared and they don't get the job. So I just tell them, look, don't go with the fear that if you say it, you're not going to get the job. You need to know right away. If you're not going to get the job, you might as well get to know it up front than later on. So This is something that I learned from this book, that the jury sat through the deliberation. They had already made up their mind. And that's the system, that's the process. And they couldn't change the mind. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. Now, I'm not going to get into the merits of the case. I think there was plenty of evidence that he should have been convicted, but it didn't matter. We have a system, the jury gets to decide. And similarly, when you interview, you got to have a process too. And the process should be right in the beginning. You need to know, based on your background, your profile, and any other information you shared with the company and the person you're interviewing with. It could be a screener, it could be the manager. Where do they stand up front? And if they say, well, I need to know more, then they haven't done their work. They better not say that. They haven't done their homework. If you've done your homework, you've got to ask that question. Must ask that question. Based on everything you know about me, my profile, my background, and my body of work, is this the candidate you're likely to hire or not hire? The word you want them to get to is the word hire. Because if they say the word hire, it'll be hard for them to change that. Think about it. Look, if it worked in one of the biggest trial of the last century, it can work for you when you're interviewing. Okay, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. And if I can be of any help with your next high-stakes speech or job interview, whatever, let me know. Thank you for watching, and good luck.